Let's dive into a story about how one tiny, simple action can have consequences that literally ripple across the entire cosmos. I know, it sounds impossible, right? How can a gesture that we all know, one that's so full of love and playfulness, end up creating a demon and plunging the entire universe into chaos? Well, that's the wild question at the very heart of this story. So when you think of a cosmic catastrophe, you're probably picturing some epic celestial battlefield, right? A grand betrayal, clashing armies. But nope, this story starts somewhere much quieter, much more intimate, and honestly, way more surprising. In fact, it's the total opposite of war. It all began with a simple, playful moment between two of the most powerful beings in existence, the god Shiva and his wife Parvati. Okay, but before we get into the how, let's start with the fallout. Because the effect of this loving act was immediate, it was absolute, and it was absolutely terrifying. I want you to just imagine this for a second. In a single instant, every star, every sun, every single source of light across all of existence just goes out. Not fades away, but is snuffed out completely. A deep, unnatural blackness swallows the universe whole, and everyone, from gods to mortals, is left in total blindness and fear. And here's the craziest part, even Parvati, the one who caused all of this, is caught totally off guard. Her own words, "What is this darkness?" They just perfectly capture the shock and terror that was gripping the cosmos. She had absolutely no idea what she'd just done. So, how on earth did we get here? Let's just rewind the cosmic clock a few moments and see exactly how a simple, playful gesture could have such an unbelievably devastating impact. So, picture this. It's a scene of pure, everyday affection. Parvati sees her husband, Shiva, deep in meditation. And, she's filled with this playful love and decides to surprise him. She comes up behind him, and just like a little kid playing a game, she gently puts her hands over his eyes. Just a sweet, innocent act, right? But these were no ordinary eyes. And this, right here, is the key to this whole story. See, Shiva's eyes, especially his third eye, they aren't just for seeing. In this mythology, they are the literal conduits of the energy that powers and lights up the entire universe. So when Parvati covered them, she wasn't just playing peekaboo, she had, without knowing it, flipped the main power switch for all of existence. Now, that momentary darkness, that void she created, well, it didn't stay empty for long. You know how they say nature abhors a vacuum? Well, turns out the cosmos does too. And from this total absence of light, something new was born. So, when the light finally flickered back on, the universe was not the same. That darkness had kind of coalesced. It left something behind, a child. A child not formed from flesh and blood, but from the pure, raw essence of that cosmic blackout. His name? Antak. And it comes directly from the Sanskrit word for darkness, Antkar. His name is literally his destiny. He who darkens. He is the living, breathing embodiment of the void he came from. And what's so fascinating here is the direct opposition between them. You have Shiva, the ultimate source of all light and energy. And then you have Andak, his accidental son, who is like a walking black hole for light. His very nature is to absorb and cancel out the energy of his own father. He is the polar opposite of everything Shiva is. So this raises a really tough question. What do you do with a child who's born from a cosmic mistake? A being whose power is so dangerous that his eyes have to be covered all the time? Well, Shiva makes a gut-wrenching choice. Andak is given away to be raised by the demon king Hiranyaksha, basically casting him out from the divine world and into a world that matches his own dark nature. So the birth of Andak was consequence number one. But there was a second and equally severe judgment that was aimed directly at the one who started it all, Parvati. And Shiva's judgment is swift and totally unbending. As he says in this incredibly powerful line, when you're the father and mother of the universe, the rules are just different. There's no such thing as a small mistake. Every single action you take has cosmic weight, and the consequences have to be balanced. Now, this is a really important distinction here. Shiva never accuses Parvati of committing a sin. He knows her intentions were pure. It was a bool, a mistake. But the scale of the consequence, creating a being of pure darkness, is so huge that it demands prayashit, or penance, to set things right again. It's not about punishment. It's about rebalancing the scales of the cosmos. And the price for that atonement is just immense. She has to give up literally everything she loves. She must leave her home on Mount Kailash. She has to separate from her husband Shiva. And maybe worst of all, she has to endure being separated from her beloved son Ganesh. Her path is to go down to earth, live like a mortal, and perform penance to pay for the darkness she accidentally created. And this judgment, this is what leads us to the real emotional core of the story. It's this heartbreaking separation that completely fractures the Holy Family, all because of one single playful moment. Parvati is, as you can imagine, completely shattered. Her question here just says it all. How can one go far from their own life force? For her, Shiva isn't just her husband. He's her very essence, her life force. This separation is a fate worse than death itself. And you know, while Shiva is obviously in pain over this too, he doesn't budge. For him, his duty to the cosmic order comes first. He explains that this isn't about his feelings or hers. It's a necessary, unavoidable action to fix the incredible imbalance she caused. He's the keeper of cosmic law, even when it's breaking his own heart. And so, with a sorrow that you and I can probably barely imagine, Parvati, the mother of the universe, accepts her fate. She leaves her celestial home, turns her back on her family, and begins her long, lonely penance down on Earth. And that really brings us to the final thought here, the big question this story leaves us with. If an act that was born from pure love with zero bad intentions can give birth to darkness and demand such a heavy, heavy price, well, what does that tell us about the nature of consequence itself? Does our intention even matter when the cosmic scales get thrown so far out of balance?